He said, Bengals going to Bengal, right? There's some franchises that feel snake bit. The Browns over the weekend. Typical Browns. The Chargers, even with the mighty Chargers now, they still figure out a way to lose at the end of the game, right? Well, you mentioned the Bengals bengling. I will point out that these two games, and they lost both, were close. As many mistakes as the Bengals made, they could have easily won both games. And I do it.
They win those a year ago.
They do, but I anticipate that Joe Burrow is going to start winning those games. If they keep it close, he's not going to keep coming up on the wrong side of the ledger. Not Joe Burrow. He wore a mink coat with a chain.
Max, it's okay, man. It's okay. Joe Burrow, he's 13 sacks, 64% completion percentage.
He'll be fine.
It's the league, man. The league, they're not just going to let you. What do you think these defensive coordinators do, man? They just sit up at night and talk to each other? No.
Joe Burrow's going to light some teams up coming up.
As we said before, guys, 2 games into the regular season.
Yeah.
2 games, right?
Yeah, 2 games into the regular season, but they 0-2, not 1-1.
Okay, so let's talk about why, though, because that whole revamped O-line that they supposedly had, getting Lael Collins, getting Alex Kappa, even getting Cordell Volson, who they drafted, right? It takes a while for an O-line to work together.
No doubt.
So, by the way, Joe Burrow was sacked 51 times last year. He's on pace to being sacked 111 times this year, thus far, within 2 games. So you talk about that matchup with Michael Parsons, he absolutely destroyed Lael Collins. He destroyed him. So when you're getting that amount of pressure, once again, not making excuses for Joe Burrow, but, I mean, it's going back to what they had last year. Same problems.
Take Parsons off the field. And, Key, I know you are slow to praise guys in the beginning of their careers. You want to see them do it again and again. But to my eye, I think Parsons is the second best defensive player in football today.
Yeah, but a guy like
behind
Parsons,
Aaron Donald.
He doesn't need to do it over and over again. You could clearly see
that
he's a playmaker in the National Football League, and he's going to be around for a very long time.
Key, that's my point. When you have one of the best defensive players in the game by himself, creating 10 pressures, as Jay said, out of 15, well, take Parsons out, replace him with a normal dude. Now it's a whole different game.
You're talking about a guy in the division, in your division, in T.J. Watt. You don't think Myles Garrett is going to create havoc?
I love Myles Garrett. It's a different position. But if I had to take
it's an edge rusher.
Okay, if I had to take Garrett or Parsons, I'm taking Parsons.
You can do more with Parsons in terms of putting him in different spots. But in terms of harassing a quarterback, them dudes is harassed. Every team has 1 or 2 of those.
But you're not going to get 10 pressures from the one guy usually. And not every team does. A handful of teams do. Right? You could put anything on a bell curve. By definition, only a few people are going to be elite. Key, when you were in your prime, did every team have a Keyshawn Johnson? No. A lot of teams had a number 1 receiver, but not everyone had a receiver on a certain level.
Yeah, but even those number 1 receivers are still good, though,
No,
Max.
Of course, I get it.
And when you got Myles Garrett chasing you from behind pushing you to Jadeveon Clowney, I mean, come on, man. I get it. You like Joe Burrow. We like the mink coat. Maybe he'll get a different one and wear it to the game next week in a bigger chain or something. I understand. I get it.
All right.
He was the flavor of the month. I understand it.
No.
But it's different.
Not of the month. Not of the month. There's going to be some months coming up for Joe Burrow.
In the end, and then come away with losses, and you start stacking these losses up, before you know it, you'll have 7, 8 losses and talking about, damn, we getting ready for 2023.
Just remember last year when they lost at Chicago, and there was similar kind of they lost to the Bears, and this game isn't right, a lot of issues. It takes time for an O-line to gel. It takes time for any team to gel. There is something in me that has faith in Collins and Kappa and them to work through those issues because they have addressed it in free agency.
And also, to like what Key said earlier, the real thing on an O-line is no weaknesses because there are only, by definition, 5, 6, 8, whatever it is, elite pass rushers, right? That's when you need the elite tackle. Otherwise, against most teams, as long as you're not really weak in any link of the line, you should be all right. So that a lot comes from knowing each other, playing together, reps, and there's no replacement for time in the saddle, man. You got to have time in the saddle.
Next up on the schedule too, at Jets. So you're looking at a game. Bengals at Jets, yeah.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.